Food in Skyrim is usually disgusting, and oftentimes so are the people who run the establishments. My name's Ennie Austin, and today we're going to get to the bottom of more of Skyrim's food service establishments. Our last episode left us disappointed by the poor service in the city of Markarth. I'm not coming back to this filthy establishment. I'm not coming back. So to start off today, we're going to be heading to a much smaller town, one that is not even marked on any of these signposts. It's the quaint little town of Rorikstead and its beloved local tavern, the Frostfruit Inn. Hopefully you're looking forward to this as much as I am. Hello everybody, welcome to the Frostfruit Inn. I love these little small town taverns in Skyrim. They all have a very similar layout, but it's in the details that we really get a sense of how well run the establishment is. So let's take a look around. Very first thing you notice, you've got bread service, wine bottles already on the table for everyone to consume. That's common in these small towns. You don't necessarily see it in the big cities, but these small towns still believe in classic small town service. And another thing that catches my eye right away is these wreaths that are on top of or attached to these pillars here. That is something that they would have had to put up. It isn't normal to see those. These taverns typically do have these goat's horn torches, but the wreaths were added by the owners, so it's a nice little touch. I wonder if that is perhaps the titular frost fruit, it says on the sign. I don't know for sure. I'm not an expert I'm not a botanist, I'm a restaurateur, but I like seeing people go above and beyond, even if it's using a layout that other taverns might use in Skyrim. Hello, sir. How are you enjoying your time here? You mind if I have a seat next to you and just take in the ambiance? Just pop a little squat here. Oh, okay. It's fine. You know what? I get it. I wouldn't want to sit next to me either. So sitting down at the table, we're in this nice little dark corner. I'm not the biggest fan of how the tables all face the wall, but I understand that that's a necessity for space. But I know a lot of people prefer not to have their backs facing like open areas or facing the doors of places. So unfortunately here, it's not that big of an option unless you sit in one of the fireside chairs. For example, right here, we can sit for a moment here. So this is what it looks like when you sit down to have a little drink in front of the fire. It's a really nice looking building. All of these small town taverns do look nice, but it's nice to see that they're keeping it clean, at least on the surface, right? We do have an unbussed table right here. Probably someone should come out and take care of that, but not the end of the world. And then we actually have another one over here. There's two tables that need bussing over here, sir. Excuse me, sir. Do you want to do a quick lap on the floor, maybe? Take care of some of that? Aside from those two tables needing bussing, things do look very clean, very tidy. There's no junk on the floor. The rugs are nice and centered. One thing I love to see as a former server in a restaurant, is you've got this shelf here with supplies that some of the servers can use if things get really busy. Imagine if you're tending to all of these tables and you need to go get maybe some refill bottles of mead, rather than having to go all the way back in the storage area here. You've got this server station, boom bang, you grab a couple bottles and then you can bring them out to the table. You don't have to go as far. You save a lot of steps. So that says that this person's nice and efficiency minded. It's a common thing you see, but some places refuse to put those steps in place to help their servers stave off exhaustion and get more done. And it's nice to see that they're doing that here. So plenty of options on the menu here, which is always good to see. Good job keeping everything stocked. We like to see that. And now, if you don't mind, sir, we're just going to take a peek behind the counter here. See how you keep things organized. Oh, look at this. You like to see this, You'd think this would be more common, to have all of the mugs together and the bottles together. You have your self-defense hammer there in case any riffraff comes through the door, But you'd think this would be the standard, right? Keeping things organized, clean, baskets, but it's not. We see plenty of places around Skyrim that don't take the time to keep like with like, as you might say. So when you come into a place and you see this kind of organization, you can be sure that type of attention to detail is going to follow through with the service and with the quality of the food and drink and whatnot. Anytime I see stuff like this, I have a lot of confidence that I'm going to have a nice time in a place. Hello, sorry. Something else I like is that they've got all of the wood stored down on this end. They could probably stand to tidy it up a little bit, but not the end of the world, because that's closer to the fire. So it makes more sense to have it down here rather than having it all the way across in the back where the rest of the stuff is stored. You've got all the foodstuffs over here. Keep the wood separate. Wood's dirty, right? You don't want that anywhere near where you're going to be maybe making drinks or prepping food. You're going to get dirt or something in the drinks. I would say, on the whole, I am pretty impressed. So where does that leave us in terms of a rating for the Frostfruit Inn? Well, in terms of the good, these small town places, they're easier to run, so it's the details that give you a winner. And the details here are mostly good. You have some nice, unique aesthetic additions with the wreaths up on the wall. Bartender's perfectly friendly. The back of house is super organized and well stocked. So really the only knock that I have against the place is the fact that there are 2 unbussed tables that seem to just be sitting there. Despite the fact that there's no other patrons in here aside from myself. I thought maybe it was a sort of a bus your own table kind of place, but I don't see anywhere for that to occur. There's no bus bin or anything like that. But aside from that, I don't really have any other complaints. So because of that, Moralki, sir, I'm happy to award your fine establishment a B. This is definitely the type of place I'd be happy to stay the night if I could. Unfortunately, we've got places to be because today our final goal is to get all the way to the city of Windhelm, and that is going to be a long walk. I really was thrilled to see such good service back on the road, again, after just our disappointing time in some of the bigger cities in Skyrim. Unfortunately, though, I could not stay the night. I had to continue east. We had a long way to go till Windhelm, and there were more places to stop along the way. And with the sun setting on us, we're going to have to stop over in our favorite little town of Whiterun. Stopping in Whiterun is not the worst thing in the world, though, because it turns out, even though we've been here before, there's actually a wonderful little tavern that we missed last time we were here. And that, of course, is going to be a little bar at the front of the city near the gate called the Drunken Huntsman. I've heard a lot about this place, and I'm eager to check it out. Alright, welcome to the Drunken Huntsman. Interesting ambiance in here. First of all, you've got weaponry, armor, and you have a little bit more of a restaurant setup than one of our bar setups. You've got these little sort of back rooms and things like that with tables. So let's take a look around. Aesthetically, what are we dealing with here? Hello, ma'am. How are you doing back here? What are you eating today? A gourd. You mind if I sit next to you just to sort of take in the ambiance here? Just have a little seat. Just gonna pop a squat down right here. Let's see what we got. I like little sort of cubbies like this for places if you want a little bit of privacy, especially when they face out like this and you can see the rest of it. It does feel like your own sort of little private eating quarters, which is always fun. I like that they've got that there because they very easily could have used it for storage. You'll see. Oh, hello. Can I do something for you, sir?
In the market for some hunting supplies?
I'm not actually. I'm just here to take a look around and do a little critique. So I'll get with you shortly. Thank you for asking, though. You know, a lot of people like aggressive sort of table service like that when they go out to eat. I'm not really a big fan of it. I like servers that are available to flag down if I need them. I'm not the biggest fan of if people, you know, if I'm having a bite to eat with a friend, taking a little lick of the gourd, you might say. It's one thing if I've got a drink and it's empty, you know, get you another one, sure, I feel you. But I prefer a little bit more laid-back service, especially because it's hard to find people who are charming enough to sort of pull off a full frontal offensive of, you know, old-school dining service. If you can do it, great, but no offense, my friend, but that wasn't it.
In the market for some hunting supplies?
You got some holes in the woodworking, not the biggest deal, but, you know, probably it is a bit of a tripping hazard. It's probably not ADA compliant, but that's, I suppose, not really my jurisdiction anyway. Then, of course, you have this back room here. Oh, somebody's sleeping in there. Sorry, sir. I'll just close that door for you. And then one other touch I really like, you know, this, it looks a bit messy, but if you'll note this, they've actually broken up the floorboards to expose some of the fire-adjacent stone. And what that can do for you is the fire is, if it's going for long enough, is going to ambiently warm up a lot of this stone, meaning that if you're sitting in one of these chairs, you can place your feet on this in the colder months and warm your feet up early in the morning. That's a real luxury. So I love that they peeled away some of the floorboards. You can see they could have done a cleaner job of it, given that, but it's nice to see that, you know. Interestingly, this is the only place we've been to so far that's actually selling weaponry and armor and stuff in addition to food. They actually have a pretty terrible supply of food at the moment. Just alcohol and then 2 cabbages and an apple. Not great. You mind if I take a look in the back of house here? Take a look at your, what you got going on down here. Kind of a sparing shelf. Not a lot on that, which maybe tells us that we just have just general sort of ordering problems. I mean, even look up here. They've got 1 pair of boots for sale, and that's it. You know, it's called the Drunken Huntsman, but I would hope that the people doing your daily ordering are sober when they do it, but it sure doesn't seem like it. We definitely could be doing better in that front for sure. So all things considered, how are we feeling about the Drunken Huntsman? Well, let's start with the good and then go to the bad. The good. The aesthetics, while a little bit shoddy, I actually sort of grew to like. It's a little bit unkempt, it's a little bit uneven, but especially when you see those floorboards taken away. I really love that exposed stone floor. I think that's a great call. So the particulars of the aesthetics are not great, but the vibe overall, I would say, is good. Unfortunately, that kind of is it for the good. Leading the list of the bad, everything is out of stock. They clearly have either supply chain issues or just incompetency of ordering. My guess is it's the latter, because the other place we went to in Whiterun did not have this problem. I appreciate that they're well staffed, but their service is a little bit too aggressive. And then lastly, obviously it contributes to the vibe a little bit, but you got to fix the holes in the floorboards. That's kind of dangerous. At least plug them with something or put something over them. You know, imagine someone with crutches comes in here, gets their crutch stuck in a hole, falls over, suddenly you're in the fire pit, you're the next thing on the menu. So unfortunately, because of all of that, the best that I can award you, my friend, is a D. The Drunken Huntsman gets a D. Sort out your inventory problems, that's going to bump you up to a C, but until you do that, I mean, that's the whole point, is you're here to sell things, and right now you're selling boots and 2 cabbages, so... Because my experience at the Drunken Huntsman was so disappointing, I opted to head out in the middle of the night to try and blow off some steam and make it to our next destination in time for breakfast service. And it turned out my timing really could not have been more perfect, because just at 7 a.m. we arrived in the little town of Ivarstead. Now, those of you with a keen eye for geography will note that Ivarstead is a little bit out of the way as we're heading towards Windhelm, but I couldn't pass up the chance to visit the Vilemere Inn. I've heard good things about the service in this place, and I'll tell you what, I'm in need of a nap. So let's get started here and let me buy a room. Welcome to the Vilemere Inn. You'll see upon first glance, we've got very standard Skyrim tavern fare. You know, we've had good luck in these types of places, so let's take a look around. Okay, first off, not a great sign. You've got some junk on the floor that people are kicking around, which isn't ideal. Oh, some pots and pans. That's a tripping hazard. That's a tripping hazard too. Not the biggest fan of that. What is this? Is this like an onion on the ground? What are you, stuff rolling around? Okay, so we're not off to the best start in the world, excuse me. But let's make note of some of the standards of service, right? You've got your meat and your bread on the table. Good, great. Fire pit in the middle. These people have reorganized a little bit. They've got their seating area closer to the bar rather than on the other end, which is weird because it means that this person's going to get their back hot as opposed to everybody facing it. But maybe they just move the chairs around, I guess. I don't know. You do have an unbussed table over here that has, like, the cheese I can, you know, fine if you want to leave cheese, but you're going to leave cooked salmon on the table is not great. Taking a look over here, they do have a front-of-house employee, which is good, in addition to the bar manager. Maybe she's going over there to bust that table. Let's take a look. Pick up the pot, maybe? No? Not interested? But one really interesting thing about this is you'll see they have gone with an L bar instead of a straight up just sort of counter service bar. This is actually a place you can sit at, put your feet up, order and eat. But the question becomes, what are they using the space on the left for? And if you look over here, you'll actually see there's a sleeping area in the back of house area. I would say that's generally ill-advised. I don't know if it's breaking any laws, but if you imagine, let's pretend I'm a guest sitting in this chair here. If I look over to my right, there's a decent chance I'm going to see just somebody sleeping there, which is going to kind of kill the vibe, especially if I'm like drinking, having a night out with my friends. And let's talk to the bar manager here. Wilhelm, how are you, sir? See what Wilhelm's got for sale here. Pretty decent spread. Lots of good meats, drinks, etc. Okay, you got to give him credit for that, no doubt. So, okay, fair enough. Pleasant enough guy. You got a lute player, whatever. Again, it's just sort of confusing. It's a confusing space so far. Let's take a look and see if that extends to the back of house operation. Again, we'll step by the sort of employee sleeping area here. Take a peek. We got reasonably well-organized shelves, as it happens. We got wood back there, but then you've also got a pile of wood across the way there. Why not just put this wood over with that wood? It's closer to the fire, And then when you're counting inventory, it's all going to be in the same place. But to their credit, you know, these shelves look pretty good. You got these shelves look, oh, not so good. Okay, they've got money down there, money up there. You've got personal effects, I assume, reading a little bit on the job. You got tankards spilled all over the place. Self-defense axe, sure, fine. Okay, so in conclusion, how are we feeling about the Vilemere Inn? I guess let's start with the good. The staff is pleasant enough. You know, they're pleasant enough. They have a bard. That's nice. Nice little touch. But the real story here is the bad. Number one, it's a pigsty. There's stuff all over the ground. Front of house, back of house. There's nobody tidying up anything. There's 2 people here to work. You've got 1 guest. The dirty bed next to the bar. Not really an appealing thing. You know, as someone who has to stay the night here, not really thrilled to know that someone's probably sleeping there for free. So as a result of all of that, unfortunately, my friend, I'm going to have to give this place a D. You know, that's the funny thing about these kind of like suburban copy and paste bars is they're really easy to get right if you just run them well. But if you don't get the small details right, I mean, I'm not giving you credit for the layout, right? So if you mess up the few things that you have to control, it's gonna hurt you a lot. So that's why you're getting a D. I will not be back, though. I would like to, if I could, sleep in this bed. It's always unfortunate when you're disappointed based on the expectations you have of a place, but when you're an objective critic like me, you've got to be honest no matter the circumstance, so that's what I did. Now, unfortunately, because I decided to walk through the night to get here in time for breakfast, I've totally destroyed my sleep schedule, which means once again, I'm leaving at about 11 p.m. to make our way to our final stop, the city of Windhelm. The chilly air helped me stay up all night for this long walk, and I could sure use a drink. And what better place for a morning drink than the world-renowned Candleheath Hall. From the outside, this place looks stunning. I hope that I can say the same about the inside. All right, first glances, very interesting. Kind of basement energy, though it looks like that's the case. It looks like there's a hole upstairs. But we'll start by taking a peek down in the basement.
We ought to dig a big hole. Throw all them dark elves and Argonians in it.
This man, he's just spouting hate speech next to a dark elf. Are you going to do anything about this, ma'am? I feel like as the manager of the place, that's kind of your duty. All right, well, I look forward to seeing that and addressing the allegations of racism complicity towards the end of this. But let's do a little walk around for aesthetics. First of all, there's a gorgeous sort of golden glow theme to this whole place. You've got in the rugs here, man, everybody is talking, aren't we? We're talking and we're singing, and I'm trying to critique this place, and we're a little uppity. You know, it's 9 a.m. Can we relax? Anyway, Candleheath Hall is a great name for it, because just look at all these beautiful hanging candle wreaths, these golden rugs, things like that. Yeah, look at this. This is just a gorgeous space. These beautiful ornate glass windows. You've got these wonderful candle hearths, which I suppose makes sense. Beautiful, stunning fireplace with a dedicated ventilation system to make sure that no one's inhaling any carcinogens that they don't need. Really, really like to see that. What a stunning... The furniture here, too. Look at this. Just stunning work all around. Really, really just a remarkable place. I can see why people talk about it far and wide. In terms of front of house operation, it's looking pretty much like it's all counter service, like you order stuff and then bring it up to sit, because the only person working up here is a bard. You know, it doesn't seem like there's any way to order food up top, so you do have to walk downstairs to get to it. I might recommend putting some sort of, you know, again, we talk about server stations, maybe like a supplemental bar up top here, just to make it easier to re-up on your drinks and stuff, so that you don't have people stumbling down the stairs breaking their ankles when they're drunk in the middle of the night. But that would really be my only complaint. It's looking pretty fantastic from what I can tell. Now let's have a word with the owner about that racism, shall we? We'll have a seat here, if you don't mind.
Got some fresh baked bread and good cheese if you're after a bite to eat.
Fresh baked bread. Fresh baked... Sounds to me, Elda, like you were not informed of an item that maybe got 86th, that someone should have told you that.
Those dark elf refugees will take over this city if we aren't careful.
Whoa. Okay, so suddenly it's making sense why you're letting this guy sit here.
Yeah?
Grey quarters
What?
at the...
What are you talking about? Yes, what? You said fresh bread. That's literally what you led with, and you sounded really nice. Man, I have never been treated that way as a restaurant critic. It's like she doesn't even care about my esteem. Well, I gotta put my feelings aside, take a look at the back of house operation. She's sweeping. Good for her. All right, what does she got?
Got some fresh baked bread and...
No, you don't. All right, she's got some self-defense stuff, money, a potion down there. Okay, fine. Shelving's all empty down here, which maybe that's where the bread was. Got a lot of items that could be consolidated. A shield just on the bottom for some reason. It's not a very professional-looking area, I would say, which isn't really surprising considering the service she gave us. This is probably sort of her domain that she needs to keep tidy, and clearly she's too busy tidying up her racist thoughts, am I right? All right, let's see what other sort of back-of-house operations they've got going on here. Oh, they've got a full-service kitchen. This isn't lovely. You don't see a lot of this in Skyrim. Not a lot of places have the space to make this type of addition. Yeah, it's nice to see a full-service kitchen, honestly. It's not nice to see an apple pie on the floor of the full-service kitchen. Also not nice to see two raw chicken legs sitting on a table. I believe that is a health code violation. Sound the alarm. What do we got over here? Oh no! This is a classic health code violation. I mean, this is Food Service 101. Everybody knows this. That meat is going to drip onto that flour bag, and it's going to give somebody salmonella. Though I will say, to her credit, I did locate some of the fresh baked bread. It does look pretty good, from what I can tell. Okay, having a seat in front of the fireplace here. What do we think of the Candleheath Hall? Well, this one hurts me. We'll start with the good. It's maybe the most beautiful space that we've been in. This is probably my favorite layout that we've seen, both aesthetically, but it's also interesting. It's not just good. All of the guest seating, the furniture is beautifully coordinated, but it's not like stuffy. It feels comfortable in here and coordinated, that can be a hard thing to balance. Sometimes things feel so coordinated that they don't feel like you could sit here and have a drink with a friend. But this doesn't have that. It is expertly put together without being overbearing. Now, unfortunately, that's kind of where it stops. So we'll start with the big hits. Number one, you've got health code violations. So that's a big deal. Number two, racism notwithstanding, the service that I received was both inaccurate in terms of what they had available at that moment, but also it was like extremely rude, like just horrible service. And then the number three problem with the place is the racism. Now, people might hem and haw and go, well, cultural differences, this and that. Okay, well, let's agree to disagree on that. But ultimately, you've got somebody at the bar accosting one of your guests about something he probably doesn't want to hear about, and also might have to do with him while this person's trying to order. And then rather than helping resolve that situation so that everyone can enjoy their time, you just stand there and then start yelling at me as well, as the manager. I mean, it's unconscionable. So unfortunately for you, for all the reasons listed above, I have to give the Candleheath Hall a D, which I was not expecting when I walked in. Frankly, I toyed with the idea of giving it an F, given the health code violations, but the space is just so good that if you just get rid of the rude bartender, even if the food still sucked, I would sit here and have a drink and eat a cinnamon roll just because it's so cool. Overall, sort of a disappointing set of restaurants today. We started off strong and then pretty quickly tanked. Turns out good service is harder than you might expect, which maybe explains why restaurant failure rate is so gosh darn high. If you want to help me out a lot, watch another one of my videos right now. If you want to help me out a ton, you can support me on Patreon like all these people that you see did. This is a viewer-supported channel. I can't do it without you guys, so thank you so much for supporting me. Until next time, of course, I make a lot of music in my free time, so I've got another song for you. You're going to hear that right now, and I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for your support. I love you so much. Thanks. Bye.
It's only been 2 weeks. But I forgot your love.